got your fun, now you think you're Amazon. Hiring agencies to make your brand look strong. But while you're polishing those slides.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Got some nice peppy music here. It is a little bit cloudy this morning, so it was nice to have that. I kind of wish we would have kept the entire music there because I love that song that we put together. If you didn't get a chance to catch that, make sure you get on our LinkedIn profile, YouTube, X, and catch the weekly song that we do this week. Was obviously tied to our topic. Seriously, don't confuse looking big with getting customers. And then the subtitle is the post Series A mistake that's burning startup runways. I told some of my staff this morning that I was going to do this podcast naked. I think they misunderstood me because they all said it was a bad idea. Really, all I was saying was I'm going to do this podcast without a presentation. And I would love to have some feedback on that. We do always include our presentation every week, but this week I'm going to do it without it, going to make it more of a conversation. Let me know what you think about that. We do have the slide deck for this and certainly could provide that to you. So if you want to leave some notes down in the comment and you'd like to see the slide deck, we can do that. We'll also talk a little bit later about a resource that we can provide you that you can request there as well. But now back to the topic. So seriously, don't confuse looking big with getting customers. I came up with this topic based on a number of discussions I've had over the last, I'll call it 2 months, with founders who are post funding or are pre-scale that are looking to invest money in scaling. And quite honestly, many times get seduced by so-called marketing agencies, branding agencies, PR firms, with things that really don't contribute to their growth. So I thought, okay, I need to call this out and put it on our weekly Seriously Don't Do That podcast. So that's what I'm doing today. As always, if you have questions, please put them down in the comments. We may not get to them on today's podcast, but we'll certainly answer those either in comments or to you directly. So always like to start out with a stat. Gartner says that 77% of business to business buyers say the purchasing process is either very complex or complex. However, founders are still spending a lot of time on awareness rather than direct engagement. And we'll talk a little bit about what I mean by awareness. Always like to start out with a success story, but on the end of a success story, you're going to hear about a failure as well, because we like to talk about both here, because both of them are part of the founder's journey. So, success story. Recently had the pleasure of working with a health tech SaaS company that just received about 3 million in funding. And we're excited talking about go to market. But unfortunately, had already spent a significant amount of money with a PR firm that was going to do press releases. They had spent a lot of money on decks. They had spent a lot of money on branding. None of those things are bad, but to me, those are acceleration strategies, not direct go-to-market strategies. Again, you probably caught that I started with my failure first. So let's go ahead and complete that, and then we'll go to the success story. But what they had come back with, this company that had received the funding, was beautiful brand guidelines, but zero pipeline, and had made a sales hire, and unfortunately, after 6 months, they quit. So I think the learning there is, yes, those things are all awesome. Things all make you feel good. Those things are all big company strategies that have millions of dollars. But when you're a scaling startup in the health tech, insurtech, fintech, or whatever space you might be in, um, those are not great strategies to grow. You have to spend your money on directly engaging your target market. We're going to give you, as we always do, some practical advice on that before we're done with today. But again, the failure there is spending money on brand, spending money on image, spending money on looking big, but not spending money on directly engaging your target market with sales conversations. So now let me flip to the success. So again, fairly similar situation. Company received about the same amount of money, and they were looking at a PR spend somewhere in the area of $50,000 to $75,000, but instead decided to spend their money on directly engaging their target market, their ideal customer profile. If you don't know what an ICP or ideal customer profile is, please go back and look at our LinkedIn events. We've got a number of, or I'll say broadly, our events, because those are on YouTube and X as well. Um, but go back and look at those to figure out, how to come up with your ICP, or certainly reach out to us. We have some engagements that we do with customers that specifically help with defining their ICP. But so back to the success story. Health tech company, SaaS platform. Uh, Again, looking 50 to 75K on PR spend and agency spend. Instead, spent less than that, about 35,000 directly on engaging their target market. So 90 days, 150 target accounts, and out of that came up with 22 live opportunities, 2 closed deals, which certainly made everybody happy, made the founder happy, made the revenue leader happy, and most importantly, made the investors happy, because they were showing that they were spending that money and growing. Next week we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I've seen it time and time again. Companies getting money, spending on either a bunch of hires or a bunch of PR, agencies that do branding, colors, all those things, but not spending on direct engagement. And as always, I would tell you, seriously, don't do that. So here's what to do. So first off, account mapping. So we want to figure out, again, 150 companies. 150 isn't magic. I was talking with a potential client this week that had more like 350. But you need to have it narrowed down. Your answer to who your target market can't be everybody. Again, we refer you back to our ICP um, worksheet that we use, which again, that's something that you can request in the comments today that we'd be glad to provide to you. But you need to figure out what those companies are and say, okay, this is where our champion sits. This is where people that have the problem or challenge that we solve, that will write a check or can write a check. Let's say more specifically, can pay for it. Um, and uh, and by the way, on that note, if your target market, if you're not sure your target market can pay for it, then you may need to find another target market. And then their need to solve that problem or challenge in the next 6 to 9 months, and they have a timeline to do that or have some urgency to do that. So some people call that BANT, we call it fast. But again, making sure that you know that list of target companies. Second is your stakeholders. So these are the key personas in these companies. We always say we like to map those. A lot of times in, let's say, a platform sale, again, I'll just give you an example. It's going to be some element of an IT leader. It's going to be some element of an enterprise solution business architect, and it could be some element of somebody on the business side. So, could be somebody in product, could be somebody in informatics. Um, and by the way, who it isn't is procurement. Unless you have a specific procurement solution, they are not part of your target market. It's really the people that would be either users or people that would benefit from the problem or challenge that you solve. And again, you want to start on that, we've got our ICP worksheet. Certainly glad to schedule some time with you as well to talk through that. So again, first, find your accounts through account mapping. Second, find your stakeholders. Number three is, how do we engage these personas where they live? And I say that jokingly, but depending on who your persona is, they may find their information, they may find, um, they may search in different places. Certainly, you know, on a website could be one, although more and more people are using AI. And we will be doing something very, very soon and actually introducing an offering for companies that are trying to make themselves more um, um, more visible in AI technologies. Stay tuned on that. It's going to be a couple of weeks. But the important thing is figuring out where these personas go and engage. Could be LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is a great place, depending on your persona. Um, but LinkedIn is prevalent for a lot of our customers. Could be YouTube, could be X, could be an event, could be emails, could be a wide variety of places. If you are here and you're in the B2C market, could be Instagram, could be Facebook, could be TikTok. But primarily for B2B, it's LinkedIn, YouTube, X, events, emails. Um, so again, figuring out where they engage is very important, and then coming up with 3 touch points for them in those areas. So again, 3 ways we touch them. Those should surround the problem and challenge that you solve, should surround how you solve that, and then what's in it for them. So those are 3 just kind of very basic ways in directly engaging your personas. And then you need to track, obviously, anything that's worth anything that's worth anything is worth measuring. And I know I probably butchered that quote, and I definitely don't know where I've heard that from, but maybe some of our listeners can help me with that. Um, but yes, we want to look at what's working every week. And by the way, you can't do this if you don't have a process. You should definitely have a process from initial engagement through close. If you don't, we can certainly help you with that. Again, reach out to us, and we'd be glad to talk to you about how you put that process in place. But you have that process in place, then you need to track what's coming in, what's moving, what's gaining traction, and then I always say kill those things that aren't working in 60 days. You definitely want to give it 60 days, but if something's not working, then we move on. By the way, if something is working, we want to double, triple, quadruple down on that as well. So again, 4, actually 5 practical ways that you can start reaching out to your target market post funding that don't involve going and hiring PR, marketing firms that do branding, etc. Again, not down on any of them. Those are acceleration strategies, though, not scaling strategies. So this week, our giveaway will be our growth readiness audit that we can put together, as well as a call that you can book with us to evaluate your growth readiness. If you would like that, please indicate down in the comments, just say readiness, and we will reply and get you the growth readiness audit that you can use in your company. And as always, you can reach out to us on whatever platform you might be joining us on, whether that be LinkedIn, YouTube, or X. You can reach me directly at Dan at greatergaingroup.com. Also want to mention that if you would like to have me speak at your event, podcast, or write on your blog, glad to do that. If you're interested in that, please reach out to Jana, Jana, at growwithdan.com. So that's this week's topic. Hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully it will keep you from going to places that are practicing what I call marketing malpractice and telling you that you need branding and PR when you really need to talk with your target market in a sales conversation. But next week is a related topic, but not the same topic. So next week, we're going to talk about seriously don't hire a marketing team before you have an AI amplified go to market strategy. And the subtitle of that is why are you planning to hire 8 people when 3 plus AI could do better? So probably a little bit of a controversial topic. We'll dive into that next week with our videos, with our LinkedIn, YouTube, and X live event, and our articles that we publish every Friday. So at this point, wanted to thank you for joining us this week. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week on the Seriously Don't Do That podcast.